All right, get ready to dive into the career of Rafael Nadal.
We're talking 22 Grand Slam titles. Can you believe it?
You're in the right place if you want the inside scoop on how those victories stack up.
Because we're going deep on an ESPN article by Bill Connolly that actually ranks them all.
And you'd be surprised which ones top the list.
It's not always the obvious choices.
But before we get into that, let's talk about what makes Nadal's 22 Grand Slam titles such a monumental achievement.
Okay, yeah. For anyone who might not follow tennis super closely, break it down for us. Winning even one Grand Slam is a career-defining moment for most tennis players.
They're the most prestigious tournaments in the world, with decades, even centuries, of history behind them.
You're not just battling your opponent, you're battling the pressure, the legacy, everything.
No pressure, right?
Right. So for Nadal to win 22 of them, it's practically unheard of.
It puts him in a league with only a handful of other players in history.
Which is why Bill Connolly's ranking of those wins is so fascinating.
He's a senior writer for ESPN, really knows his stuff, and he dove deep into the details of each victory to figure out which ones stand out.
Not just in terms of the win, but the how and the why. And this is where it gets interesting, especially when you consider Nadal's dominance on clay.
I mean, we all know about his reign at the French Open, right?
About 14 titles.
14. It's mind-blowing. I have to imagine those French Open wins dominate Connolly's top rankings.
You might think so.
And while they're definitely up there, it's not as straightforward as you'd expect.
Connolly factors in a lot of elements, including the quality of Nadal's opponent, the score lines, the drama.
Okay, so spill the tea.
Give us an example of a French Open win that surprised you in terms of where Connolly placed it.
Well, let's talk about 2008.
Now, most people would assume that Nadal's victory at Wimbledon that year, defeating Federer in what many consider the greatest match ever played.
Oh, stop. I get chills just thinking about that match.
It was epic.
Exactly. But Connolly actually ranks Nadal's 2010 French Open win higher.
Whoa, really? Why is that? This is where Connolly's deep dive gets really interesting.
He argues that while the 2008 Wimbledon win was monumental, Nadal's dominance at Roland Garros in 2010 was practically superhuman.
He didn't drop a single set throughout the entire tournament.
You're kidding.
Nope. He was an absolute machine on the court.
Okay, see, this is what I'm talking about.
Aha.
Moments right there.
Connolly's ranking isn't just about the win itself, but the context surrounding it.
It makes you appreciate Nadal's achievements on a whole other level.
But I have to ask, how does Connolly justify ranking a French Open win, even one as dominant as that, over a Wimbledon victory against Federer?
That seems almost sacrilegious.
Well, remember what we said about Nadal on clay?
It's not just that he wins on the surface, it's the way he wins. All right, break it down for us. Why is Nadal practically unbeatable on clay?
It's more than just being comfortable on the surface.
It's like he's strategically built for it.
Nadal's signature heavy topspin.
It bounces higher on clay, making it even tougher for opponents to handle.
And his incredible court coverage.
That ability to chase down every ball,
Clay courts tend to slow the game down, which plays right into Nadal's hand.
giving him more time to set up those killer shots.
It's like watching a chess match where he's always 3 moves ahead.
Exactly.
He's dictating the game from the baseline, wearing down his opponents with his relentless intensity.
And you know, Connolly makes a great point about Nadal's mental game on clay.
He calls it an aura of invincibility that just seems to descend upon him at Roland Garros.
I could see that.
When he steps onto those red clay courts, it's like he transforms into this unstoppable force.
And you can't talk about Nadal's dominance without mentioning his incredible physical strength and stamina.
Those long rallies, the grueling 5-set matches, they take a toll on even the fittest athletes.
But Nadal seems to thrive on it.
Especially on clay where the points can be longer and more physically demanding.
It's like he's part mountain goat, scaling those clay court mountains with ease.
But let's not forget,
This is Rafael Nadal we're talking about. He's conquered more than just clay.
he's a multi-surface champion, proving his versatility time and time again.
Absolutely.
And Connolly doesn't shy away from celebrating those victories.
Remember that 2008 Wimbledon win we touched on?
It won against Federer.
Even though it's not his top-ranked win, Connolly describes it as a match for the ages, highlighting Nadal's incredible mental fortitude.
Which makes sense.
I mean, beating Federer on grass, a surface where Federer was practically unbeatable at that point in his career.
It was unthinkable.
And yet, Nadal found a way.
He adapted his game, took risks, and went toe-to-toe with Federer in a 5-set thriller that, to this day, is considered one of the greatest tennis matches ever played.
Oh, absolutely.
That match had everything.
Incredible shot making, unbelievable rallies and enough drama to fill a movie.
And it cemented Nadal's place as a true all-court champion.
Someone who could challenge for the title on any surface against anyone.
But let's be honest, winning on clay and winning on grass are two very different beasts, right?
What did Nadal have to change about his game to conquer Wimbledon? You're telling me it's like trying to master salsa dancing and ballet at the same time.
Right. They require completely different techniques and strategies.
Connolly actually quotes Nadal saying that playing on grass is like playing on a different planet.
But that's what makes Nadal so special, his ability to adapt.
He knew he couldn't play his typical aggressive baseline game on the faster grass courts.
The ball bounces lower and skids through quicker, so you have to be more precise, more unpredictable.
And he had to adjust to playing on a surface that was considered Federer's domain.
Talk about pressure.
Exactly.
But Nadal embraced the challenge. He started taking the ball earlier, coming to the net more often, using a slice backhand to disrupt Federer's rhythm.
He basically had to reinvent himself as a player to succeed at Wimbledon.
And that takes serious mental toughness, to step outside your comfort zone like that on the biggest stage in tennis.
No doubt about it.
And Connolly points to that 2008 Wimbledon final as a turning point in Nadal's career. It wasn't just about winning the title, it was about proving to himself and to the world that he could conquer any surface, overcome any obstacle.
Okay, so we've talked about Nadal's dominance on clay, his triumph at Wimbledon.
But we haven't even touched on his victories at the Australian Open and the US Open.
He's won those multiple times too, right?
He has. And those wins are equally impressive, especially when you consider the competition he faced and the challenges he had to overcome.
Remember that 2022 Australian Open final we mentioned earlier?
The one where he came back from 2 sets down against Medvedev?
Are you kidding? How could I forget? It was like watching a sports movie come to life.
Connolly ranks that victory incredibly high, and for good reason.
It wasn't just another Grand Slam title.
It was a testament to Nadal's resilience, his fighting spirit.
He was coming off a foot injury, had doubts about whether he could even compete at that level anymore, and to see him pull off that kind of comeback.
It was truly remarkable.
It gave me chills. To be at that point in his career, with so many miles on the clock, and still find that extra gear, that mental strength to dig deep and win.
It's almost superhuman.
It speaks to what makes Nadal such a captivating athlete. It's not just the titles, it's the journey, the setbacks, the comebacks. He's been battling injuries throughout his career, pushing his body to the limit, yet he always finds a way to bounce back.
It's that never-give-up attitude that resonates with so many people, myself included. He's an inspiration on and off the court.
Absolutely.
And that's what Connolly captures so well in his ranking. It's not just a list of Nadal's greatest hits. It's a deep dive into what makes him such a compelling champion, a tennis legend. The grit, the determination, the sheer will to win, it's all there, woven into the fabric of each victory.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Nadal's incredible career, I'm left with a sense of awe and a renewed appreciation for his place in tennis history.
Me too. He's a once-in-a-generation talent who has redefined what's possible on a tennis court.
And while he may be nearing the end of his career, his legacy will continue to inspire generations to come.
Without a doubt. So the next time you see Nadal step onto the court, remember this. You're not just watching a tennis match. You're witnessing history in the making.